So we have another link for Derby County as this transfer window gets underway, but this time Derby are linked to a midfielder. It's a position which Derby County do need to strengthen. With the likes of Corey Smith, Max Bird and Conor Horahan leaving, it's left a massive gaping hole in the middle of the Derby County depth chart. But who is the man who you see on the thumbnail and in the title? It is Marc Leonard, a player with very, very high praise from Northampton and Brighton and Hove Albion. But is he even capable of joining Derby County? So, according to Darren Whitcoop, he definitely is. Apparently, there is 6 offers on the table with Brighton, and they are ready to sell the midfielder for £400,000. There's clubs from the Championship, League One, and abroad, all looking to strike a deal. Derby County appear to be one of them, as well as Oxford and Birmingham City. Now, if you do not know who Marc Leonard is, this is the chap in question, and I can't say I know a great deal about him, but I've heard a lot of praise for him. There's a lot of people talking really highly of him, and I think he's in that perfect age bracket for Derby where he's still got room to develop. It's not, and the cost doesn't make it the end of the world if it goes flat on its face. Now, if you do want a bit more information, let's get into that now. He's 22 years old, born on the 19th of December. He is contracted to Brighton and Hove Albion, but has been at loan at Northampton Town, I believe, for the past 2 seasons. Could be 3, but I think it's 2. And he's a Scottish youth international, most recently playing for Scotland's under-21s. Now, if we do look a little bit deeper into his career, he's made 180 appearances between Brighton and Northampton. Obviously, that includes Brighton's under-21s and under-18s, which I'll show you in a minute. 14,108 total minutes, 12 goals, 18 assists, and just 26 yellow cards. Now, let's look at the split. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or in this top corner. Stay tuned to all of my latest Derby County and Euro 2024 content, which comes daily on this channel. While you're down there hitting that subscribe button, like this video and let me know your thoughts on the potential signing of Marc Leonard. Let me also know who you think is going to win the Euro 2024 Championships. I've got my finger firmly on France at the moment, but it could be swayed either way. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next part of this video. 99 of the games are senior appearances with 6 goals and 7 assists. The rest of the appearances are for the under-23s or under-18s, where he's got 4 goals, 5 assists in 45 for the 23s, 2 goals and 6 assists for the 18s. Now, there's a lot of talk about Marc Leonard over this transfer window. There's a lot of interest in him, and there is a good reason why. He can play all the way through midfield. He can play as your holding midfielder. He can play as your number 10. He can play as your box-to-box midfielder as well. And I think this is the sort of player which Derby County need, especially with the way Paul Warne likes to play, the way he likes to adapt his side and change the side as the game goes on. And being able to play a bunch of different positions in that midfield opens him up to multiple playing options. Now, if you look at Derby County of last season, you obviously had Max Bird, who could play as a sitter, as a box-to-box, as a number 10. You had Liam Thompson, who could do similar. You also had Louis Sibley, who could play through the middle or play out at left wing-back. And Tom Barkhazen could play in the 10, could play in all the forward positions. And I think someone like Marc Leonard adds to that sort of versatility. Being able to play in those 3 midfield positions gives Paul Warne numerous options. Does he want one sitting midfielder, or does he want to play 2 with a number 10? Does he just want to play 2 sitting midfielders? Does he want to play a box-to-box? And having the option of that is absolutely massive. I believe the rules for the Championship are 22 outfielders and 3 keepers registered, I believe, which I think it's tiny, really, in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, I don't believe under-21s are registered, so it's one of those where if we can get 25 senior considered players that are versatile, can play a bunch of positions like Marc Leonard can, like some of the other players we've been interested in can, I personally believe Derby will have an excellent opportunity at staying in the division, maybe even finishing mid-table. Now, where does he fit in the depth chart? It's quite obvious. Those 2 gaping holes in midfield. Obviously, Tyrese Forner, Liam Thompson in the final years of their contract. Forner didn't quite hit the levels we wanted last season, so it's going to be really interesting to see what goes on with that. Obviously, Louis Sibley, we still don't know the situation there. We don't know where Jake Rooney's going to play when he comes back either, because that could have a big impact on this depth chart, especially because if Rooney is seen as a right back, he's not really going to play. If he's seen as a centre back, he's definitely an option. And if he's seen as a midfielder, he's also definitely an option. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this obviously transfer window does shape up, because bringing in someone of the calibre of Leonard with the potential, obviously still only 22 years old, it provides the opportunity for Derby to develop towards the future rather than, right, we need to stay up, then rebuild again, because we are still going through that rebuilding process after leaving administration. 2 seasons in League One and back out, I think that's massively impressive when you look at the clubs who weren't in administration and in our shit situation, who did get out in a much longer time. You look at the likes of Pompey, have been down there for a while. Bolton have been down and out for a while. You look at Sunderland, how long were they down there? Ipswich, I think it took Ipswich 7 years. So for me, I think it's going to be really impressive to see what Derby can do this summer. What types of players are going to be interested in coming, who we're going to be interested in. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the likes of Ebou Adams coming back, and I think that would be a massively impressive deal. I'd be really interested to see some things start to get over the line. I'm recording this on the 17th of June. Still no word on Sibley or Collins. Obviously, we know the players that are leaving on a free, and there's been no word on players coming in. And obviously, we've got all these interests in players, all these links to players, and a lot of them could be probably a bit bogus. Just journalists putting our names to something, agents putting our name to something because we're such a Gargaton club. We're absolutely fucking huge. So it's one of those for me where, as a big club with a big reputation, and realistically a team that is going to be aiming not just to stay up but to build for a potential playoff charge or automatic promotion charge over the next 3 or 4 years, putting our name to something could probably bring some players in more money or some clubs in more money. And we saw it happen a lot last year with players like, I think we was linked with Macaulay Longstaff at one point when we couldn't pay transfer fees. We was linked with a load of players last summer who we quite clearly couldn't sign because of the transfer fee issue. Now, what type of deal would this be? As we spoke about at the start of this video, £400,000 is the quoted asking price. At 22 years old, you could quite easily sign a 3, 4, 5 year deal. Personally, I'd put it on a 3 year with a 1 year club option to make it 4. You can obviously then revisit the contract in 12 months' time, in 18 months' time to see what the situation is. There is interest from other clubs. The likes of Birmingham, Wrexham, Oxford and Pompey have all been noted. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, Cardiff City are another one. Now, for me, I think this deal can get done. I do think this deal can get done, and there's a few reasons why, and it's a big thing to really talk about when it comes to professional football. We at Derby County have 2 central midfield players in the first team, 2 considered senior players. Now, obviously, you've got the likes of Cruz Allen, Niall McAndrew, Owen Eames, Jake Rooney, Darren Robinson, who can all play in midfield. Potential for Louis Sibley as well if he signs a new deal. So it's one of those where we have plenty of players that can play midfield, but we only have 2 that you'd consider senior first team players in that position. So when we're looking at midfielders, that's something that we've got to acknowledge. Someone like Marc Leonard going to a Birmingham City might not be the first name on their team sheet, but as of today, he'd probably be the first name on our team sheet. And it's like, also, if you look at someone like Portsmouth, is he going to be the first name on their team sheet? When you look at the players they've got, the likes of Owen, Moxon, I personally don't believe he's the first name on their team sheet, but he would be here. And I think that's the discussion that the likes of Paul Warne and Richie Barker, Matt Hamshaw will be having with these players when they get the chance to. Obviously, the recruitment team as well, when they get the opportunity to talk to players and agents. That's something which should be put across to these players. Look, we're not guaranteeing your game time, but look at our options. Like, that's something which I think is something that is not taken as seriously by the fan base in a sense of, you look at some of these players that we're looking at and you think, oh, they're going to want too much money, or oh, they're going to want this, they're going to want that. But in the end, a lot of these players just want football. And if you can give them a decent compensation wage package. Like, none of these players are going to complain at the wages they're being offered by Derby County. Like, I think our wages are probably going to double or triple throughout the next 12 to 18 months, because being in the Championship, I think the average wage is something like £35 million a year, whereas I think ours in League One was something around 16 million. So for me, I think that's definitely going to double and triple over the next 18 months to 2 years. And the like the wage packages that we can offer, even when we was in League One on wage caps, £12,000. It's a ridiculous amount of money. Now, I don't know Leonard's contract at Brighton or what the situation was with Northampton, but it probably isn't on £12,000. I'm not saying we should go and offer him £12,000 because I think that's a massive commitment if it might not pay off. I think it should be sort of a performance-based rise thing where, say, we give him £5,000-6,000 a week now, and it has the opportunity to rise to 12,000 in the final year of his contract, and then, or it can be renegotiated at certain points when he hits certain milestones, because that's something which clubs can do. They do have the capability of doing, and for me, I think Leonard would be a fantastic signing. I think a lot of the players we've been linked with would be fantastic signings, but that's because we're struggling a little bit in certain areas for depth. I don't think we have a Championship number 9. I think we're missing a winger, maybe 2 wingers, because he didn't really trust Barkhazen in League One. Corey Blackett-Taylor didn't really hit the ground running, so we're sort of in a situation there where that's a conversation. Obviously, goalkeepers is an area where it needs 2 players, in my opinion. You've obviously got right wing back with Perfect, in my opinion. Left wing back depends on Louis Sibley and how we're looking at Craig Forsyth. Is Forsyth a centre half? Is he a left wing back? Is he a left back? What's the situation there? I personally think he'll sort of be a squad rotation player in centre half. I don't think he'll play much at left back unless he's absolutely needed. But then if Sibley doesn't sign, then you've only got Callum Elder, so you need someone there as well. So it's one of those for me where we pretty much need a player in every single position. And I don't think you can solely rely on academy players coming up. I think you've also got to look in the market, because this market is going to be massive for us. I personally think I've said this a couple of times, I think we need 10 fresh faces minimum. I do think we'll get a couple of Premier League loans in. Obviously, there's James McConnell who's been mentioned. Is it Bobby Clark is another one that's been mentioned. I've done videos on them previously if you want to go and check them out on the channel. So it's one of those for me. There's a lot of opportunity for Derby to build a really good squad, not by spending millions, but on free transfers and stuff. Obviously, the likes of Jamal Lowe is free. I think Kemar Roof has just left Rangers. Yeah, he was at Rangers. You've got Herbie Kane available on a free. Now, it's all a conversation topic for the recruitment team. They'll know what the situation is, what players they're targeting. Would be nice to see some come through the door over the next week or so, but obviously I'm not in control of that. Neither is anybody else, apart from Paul Warne. And obviously the negotiation tactics of, I'm assuming Stephen Pearce is still doing it. So it's going to be really interesting to see what does happen. If you have not done so already, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1,000 by Christmas. So if you can hit that subscribe button and help me along the way, that would be absolutely massive. Hit the like button as well to push this video to newer and bigger audiences. All engagement really helps the channel. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll catch you in my next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.